crazy thing about that Imax Enhanced home video experience that FandangoNow is testing out over the second quarter in 2019. I can't, it's so weird. Do you remember back in the old days of like early internet streaming? I'm talking like 2006 to 2010 YouTube era, where that like there was like 720p HD video from certain channels being uploaded, and it like blew my mind. And then all of this talk about 1080p was coming to YouTube, and it's like, can you believe people were shooting in full HD, like the same kinds of resolutions that TV shows are shot in? Well, it's so crazy to think about that. And then, like, DVDs at that time were being taken over by this new thing called Blu-ray that you either heard about from your older brother or heard about through your rich friend or something. And VHS tapes, forget it. Like, you wanted to forget about VHS tapes at that point. Nobody was using a VHS player from 2007 to 2010. And, like, if you were... Like, I remember using our DVD and VHS remote when I was sort of growing up in that age range, and like you would have to, like, sometimes the image would start going away, it would get all staticky, and there would be like white noise all of a sudden going all the way around, going all over the screen, and you'd be like, oh no! And so you had to get the remote and you had to push the tracking button, and you sort of had to hold it, and you couldn't like push it for too long either, because then it would like overcorrect, and you had to find like the sweet middle ground where there was no visual noise on the TV. And so it was very fancy back then. We had a DVD and VHS player all in one. Very fancy. But it's just crazy how much this high tech now, 4K, and all of this cinematic experiences and all this cinematic technology is sort of making its way into home video now. And, you know, I was talking to a coworker on a film at one point here in Buffalo, and I remember specifically talking about this where, you know, it was right around the time Netflix started streaming their shows, certain shows in 4K, started making them available on there, and if you had a 4K TV and you were streaming Netflix, it would automatically sort of sense that on your TV and allow for it to be streamed in 4K. And I remember him sort of telling me that it makes no sense to have 4K digital distribution to homes because the average human is not going to tell the difference very much between 1080p and 4K if they're just sitting on the couch. But, you know, as TVs are getting bigger and, you know, people have more and more home theater systems and projection systems and different things like that, do we need 4K? That's the question that I think a lot of people, especially on the higher end of, you know, people on the higher end form of like consumerism are questioning is like, you know, they have the ability to afford 4K. Do they need it? And a lot of people in the film industry may be excited about streaming 4K. I don't know. I don't know if we need 4K or not. I guess we'll have to see how this Fandango thing works out, I guess. And Imax Enhanced is completely different. Now you have complete theatrical technology starting to make its way into the home somehow. And it's an interesting age that we're getting to be in, where home video is now turning into the theater experience. It can be quite scary for the theaters, I am presuming. Going to be able to see the pores on the actors' faces and see their sweat form, I guess. We'll be right back with more of today's Motion Picture Rundown after this.